Hello ladies and gentlemen, round 4 recap of the Sinquefield Cup, and this one is going to be probably the hardest of all rounds, and the reason of course is the surrounding drama, with which I would like to deal with very quickly and very briefly, especially because from what I can tell, there is nothing certain at the moment going on. What we know for fact is that Magnus Carlsen withdrew from the tournament after his loss to Hans Niemann, and in his tweet he sort of hinted that he has a lot more to offer, but he can't really speak without getting into trouble, obviously suggesting that some foul play was happening. The internet exploded. Lots of sort of covered / backhanded / not really open accusations have been made against Hans Niemann. Nothing official, as far as I'm aware, has happened yet in terms of accusations made. So at the moment everybody is guessing, and let's be very honest with ourselves, it's not overly pretty what's been happening, and I certainly am not going to say a yay or a nay in this case, especially because, and I did say that today already on my stream, there is very little information available to us in reality as far as what exactly prompted Magnus's withdrawal, and what was really going on in that particular game. So I, for one, certainly am going to just take a big step back and go like, I don't know enough to make a call or a judgment, and I don't think that a lot of people do. And we need more time to figure out what's going on. But what is most likely certain is that whatever it is not going to be good for chess. What is good for chess is more chess, and I'm going to bring you now, quite ironically, yet another game by Hans Niemann. This time he was behind the white pieces against Firouzja, who is now on the top of the world in terms of the blitz chess. So let's see how the youngsters battled it out in round 4. It was one of the most topical openings of today's elite chess, the Giaco Piano. Although it started off with the 2 knights, but transitioned into the Giaco Piano, and this is, as I said, one of the most popular variations on top level. And because of the engine is telling us to play Bishop G5 here, this is now the newest trend, and that's a move that a lot of players play a fair bit nowadays, either now or after a couple of additional moves. But in this particular game, we went for a very old and traditional setup with A4, H3, and then you would think knight d2, knight f1, but actually Niemann here decided to be a little bit different and opted for knight a3. Now there are only 3 games for this move, so we are really going off of the trodden path rather quickly. The knight on a3 has a potential to come to c4, but also c2, e3 is a valid path for the knight to re-enter the fray. Knight e7, a very logical response in turn. The knight is en route, wow, to g6, which is a very common maneuver for black in this structure for 2 reasons. The knight stands well on the king's side, occasionally planning to go to f4, but also supporting and rather allowing c6 followed by d5. d4, knight g6, bishop f1, very logical positional maneuvering on both sides. And here the American decided to take on e5, which by the way is the engine's favorite move as well, and I'm saying this without any hidden intent. The reason why I highlight that, because I usually tend to dislike these voluntary central tension releases, and here too I don't really see the benefit of it. But obviously bishop e3 can't be played because e4 is hanging. I would play here queen c2 at first sight, but the engine is yelling at me immediately that take d5 leads to issues for white. So I guess that may have been the reason that prompted Niemann to take on e5. Take bishop f4, and now a curious situation arises where the imbalance in the center, in the sense that white has a chance to push past with e5, thus creating a majority of 4 versus 3 on the king side, could lead to exciting attacking scenarios, and that is exactly what happened in the game. Rook a d1, completing development like a boss. Bishop e6, completing development like a boss. And here comes my e5. And now indeed the structure changes. And now white gets a little bit of an initiative and momentum going. Knight e4 would have been an interesting move here as well. Probably with equally good chances. By the way, also because of the drama and because of I don't want to, excuse me, add fuel to the fire, I refrain from dragging into this game analysis the actual analysis that was conducted between Alejandro Ramirez and Hans Niemann after the game. I just think it's best if I stay clear from that too, for obvious reasons. Queen g3. Now bishop takes h6 is a threat, but here the piece is actually capturable, and this particular position and the complications were actually a major part of the previously mentioned game analysis, the post-mortem with Alejandro Ramirez, but I would like to not go there. Suffice to say that at first sight it seems white has a lot, but upon closer inspection it turns out that actually this attack is not going to be enough for more than equality after an immensely complicated and mind-boggling variation where the bishop does this to and fro in order to soften up the g-pawn and only then take on f8 and then queen f3 and a typical engine line that ends up in a very irrational draw that goes like this, here, 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 and then queen check and queen check, and it goes into a draw. But instead, Firouzja went like, yeah, I'm not interested in this whole shebang, buddy. I will just sidestep the pin on the g file, and now your knight is good to go. But actually, it was good to go to d6, and this does cause a little bit of a discomfort in black's camp. And here, actually, Niemann missed c4, which the engine claims to be largely advantageous to white, but finding this idea to me sounds very, very alien, because the main idea is that after knight a4 we need to pull the bishop back to e3 in order to pull off a rook lift that then in turn can cause quite a lot of drama on the other end of the board. So, and also it vacates f4, f5. Yeah, not an easy one to find, especially when b2 is hanging with a tempo. To find a variation like this where c5, bishop c5, knight b7 needs to be seen on top of all of this, it's really, really rough. So I understand that white opted here for the simpler rook d4 to immediately cover the pawn and still hoping to employ the rook along the fourth rank. Bishop takes was played, knight e4 was played. The position more or less is still in balance, but now again the American throws the spanner in the works very nicely by sacking an exchange, creating again a very exciting position. And here I actually conducted a piece of analysis myself. I don't know, I guess the commentators must have covered this too, where I found a few absolutely insane variations. So queen f6, bishop d3, yeah, and this turns out to be an inaccuracy, and according to the engine, bishop e3 was the winning or close to winning move here. And boy, oh boy, the ideas that the engine presents here are absolutely crazy town. I really enjoyed exploring this with the machine because I didn't understand the moves at first, and so I played along yeah, I figured out some crazy ideas. So check this out. The concept, of course, is to play bishop d4 and skewer the entire royal family on the long diagonal. But this story is nowhere near as simple as you would think it is, because after bishop d4 there is queen g5. And now I don't have rook g4, and queen takes g5 is going to be perfectly sufficient. So the story here is that after rook here, we actually need to play bishop d3, and after something like rook 8 d8, I tried rook b8 because I wanted to understand the engine's idea. By the way, that's why this move is part of my analysis. Comes the insanely clever rook h4. Now that is just beyond bonkers, that move is. And now we also understand bishop d3. That was to take away the g6 square. So look at this. After rook h4, now bishop d4 is really deadly because queen g5 has been denied by the rook move on h4. So now bishop d4, queen goes, it's mate. And the queen can't go to g5 because I take, it can't go to g6 because I take. And if the king slides back to g8, then now we can actually pick off the pawn on h6. And once again, a victory has been secured easily after bishop d4. And there is no good way to stop the mate on g7 anymore. So this is absolute bonkers. Bishop e3 back first, then bishop d3, and then comes this rook h4, bishop d4 idea. And black's best to stop this is to play rook d8, so that if I go rook h4 now, then rook takes d6. A beautiful counter tactic stops white in his tracks, because bishop d4 obviously gets captured, and if we take that rook, black takes the h4 rook. And so the improvement on this from white's point of view is now to go after the pawn, because what else? Alright, we're trying to come up with some crazy kingside attack, and then we end up actually picking off a lonely pawn, excuse me, on a5 after guarding d6, and not even taking d8, by the way. That's also noteworthy that no, we don't want that, because then descending is likely draw. Nah, we will defend, we will take, and white is clearly better here actually. So that could have been a very interesting way for this game to go along these lines, but instead Niemann played bishop d3, and now we are approaching the final huge trickery of the game, which I know that they also discussed, some of the commentators, and that was that after bishop e5, queen g5, there is this absolutely brain-killing idea of rook g4, bishop g4, f4. This is like, wow, man. What is this stuff? And if queen h5, then pawn takes g4, traps the queen. Hello? And even better, if the queen goes back, we have queen g4, mate is threatened. Now if rook g8, then queen f5, and the mate on h7 can't be stopped. That is insanity. If f6, then queen g6, and again the mate can only be delayed, but in a sense it's going to happen no matter what. It is just absolute bonkers town. But even this line actually turns out to be a draw, because after rook g4, black is not forced to take, and instead queen c1 check could be played, and after take queen g5, queen e4, f5, and queen d4. This is some kind of a dynamic equilibrium where neither side can really improve their respective positions, and the engine claims the dreaded 0-0, 0-0-0. So this would have been another interesting way for this game to continue. Instead rook e3 was played, and after take queen f5. Now people would have thought that, okay, things have settled down. It's hard to see why white would be better here, because we only have a pawn for the exchange, but it's also difficult to see why black would realistically have hopes of winning, because the d6 pawn is such an annoying wedge in the middle of the position. But somehow things got exciting here, because first of all, Niemann here didn't take h6, which was instantly a draw with perpetual check. Check, 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 check. Note how the heavies can never line up on the g because of rook g3, and so the queen constantly has to stop the checks. Once again, king g8 is now also terminal, so this is a forced perpetual check. Perhaps he thought he had a chance at winning the game, I don't know. But after queen e4, bishop takes c5, and queen takes a4, now white actually needs to be a little bit careful. And here Hans Niemann playing bishop d4. I don't know, this felt like he was beginning to give some chances to his opponent, especially here when this check was allowed, followed by rook down here. I tried to figure out myself why Firouzja opted out of this, and the only move I could think of that would make this an unattractive proposition was rook e3, but after the quite crazy rook h1 threatening queen g1, the engine cruel, the cruel engine cold-heartedly tells us that there is nothing here that white can hope for against the black king, and in fact now white is lost because of the attack coming against his royalty, the white king, on g2. So yeah, Firouzja missed his chance here after bishop c7. It's already minus 1.3. Instead he dropped back to c6, and the rest of the game was just elimination and liquidation into a dead draw ending. A hugely fascinating and exciting game with lots of missed chances and opportunities. Well, mostly on the white side, but Firouzja also had a chance in the end to take the lead. the chess part of the tournament is definitely fun. The drama is definitely on. I really would like to see some kind of a closure to this, by the way, personally as a chess fan, and I'm very afraid that I won't. But as a chess educator and as a chess coach and just in general a chess dude, I would like to keep my focus on the chess part. And on that note, I'm going to now sign out. Please make sure you comment, you like, you sub, or super like, and I am going to see you in the next video, hopefully with more drama on the board rather than off it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.